Picture this. It's Friday night. Your phone is silent. No group chats exploding with notifications. No invitations. No plans. You scroll through social media and see everyone laughing in crowded restaurants, taking group photos, tagging friends you've never met. And a question quietly creeps into your mind. What's wrong with me? Because somewhere along the way, society convinced you that having fewer friends means you're less likable, less successful, or somehow missing out on life. But what if that's completely backwards? What if having few, or even no, friends isn't always a social failure? What if it's evidence of something far rarer? Because psychology suggests that some people aren't isolated because they're incapable of connection. They're isolated because their minds operate differently. And if that's you, the traits you're about to hear might explain your entire life. There's a concept I call selective energy architecture. Most people are designed to spread their attention across many relationships. But some people are built differently. Their minds naturally invest deeply rather than broadly. Instead of creating a large social network, they create an internal one. They spend more time thinking, observing, building, learning, and reflecting. From the outside, it looks like loneliness. From the inside, it's often a survival strategy, an adaptive advantage. And it produces 5 rare traits most people never recognize. You've been sold a very specific definition of success. More followers, more contacts, more networking, more people, more visibility. Society treats relationships like collecting trophies. The assumption is simple. If 10 friends are good, then 100 friends must be better. But that's like judging a library by the number of books rather than the quality of ideas inside them. The old world rewarded popularity. The emerging world increasingly rewards focus, depth, original thinking, independent judgment. Your instinct to protect your attention may not be social weakness. It may be intelligence adapting to a noisy environment, because every relationship requires energy, and some people naturally spend that energy differently. Psychologists often discuss something called high sensitivity processing. People with this tendency process information more deeply than average. They notice subtleties, particles, contradictions, unspoken signals. What feels like a casual interaction to someone else can feel mentally exhausting to them. There's also a concept called cognitive complexity. The more layers your brain processes simultaneously, the more recovery time it often needs. Think about inventors, writers, researchers, and entrepreneurs who disappear for weeks while building something meaningful. To outsiders, it looks antisocial. To them, it's concentration. Consider the software developer who spends evenings alone mastering skills while others spend every night socializing. 5 years later, that solitary investment becomes expertise. The solitude wasn't a punishment, it was fuel, and that's where the first rare trait appears. Trait 1. Extreme self-reliance. When you spend significant time alone, you learn to solve problems without constant validation. You become your own advisor, your own coach, your own source of stability. Trait 2. Deep observation. While others are busy talking, you're often studying. You notice body language, motives, ports, human behavior becomes visible in ways many people miss. Traits 3. Independent thinking. Without constant social pressure, you're less likely to adopt beliefs simply because everyone else has them. You think for yourself, and that's becoming increasingly rare. Trait 4. High standards for connection. You don't reject people. You reject shallow relationships. You would rather have one meaningful conversation than 100 empty interactions. Trait 5. Strong internal identity. Many people discover who they are through group approval. You discover who you are through reflection. And that creates a sense of self that isn't easily manipulated. Now here's the trap. Having these traits doesn't automatically make life easier. You can still feel behind. You can still feel disconnected. You can still wonder if you're missing something everyone else seems to have. That's why you need a strategy. I call it the 3D framework.pth. Invest heavily in a few meaningful relationships. One real connection is worth more than dozens of superficial ones. Development: use your alone time to build skills, knowledge, and capabilities. Turn solitude into an asset. Deployment: share your strengths with the world. Brought, Kate, teach, build. Lead: use your inner world to create external value. One entrepreneur followed this exact pattern. He spent years with a tiny social circle, obsessively learning his craft. Friends thought he was isolating himself. Years later, that expertise became a thriving business. What looked like withdrawal was actually preparation. Nature provides a fascinating lesson. In every ecosystem, there are species that survive through numbers, and there are species that survive through specialization. The first strategy relies on the crowd. The second relies on capability. Human beings aren't much different. Some people thrive through social abundance. Others thrive through unique depth. As the world becomes noisier, more distracted, and more dependent on external validation, the ability to think independently becomes increasingly valuable. Your solitude can become insulation against groupthink. Your self-reliance can become protection during uncertainty. Your depth can become a competitive advantage. What looks like a flaw today may become your greatest strength tomorrow, because you're not simply avoiding the crowd. You're developing capacities the crowd often never has time to build. So stop apologizing for having a small circle. Stop measuring your worth by the number of people in your contacts list. Stop assuming that different means defective. If you have few or no friends, it doesn't automatically mean something is wrong with you. It might mean you're operating from a different blueprint, a blueprint built for depth over noise, meaning over popularity, quality over quantity. And sometimes the people who walk alone the longest are the ones who eventually create paths others follow. If this message resonated with you, comment "depth over noise" and subscribe for more psychology and mindset insights that help you turn misunderstood traits into powerful advantages. Because you're not broken. You're built different.